Ladies and gents, welcome back. If I told you of a fictional country that spanned from Alaska to Florida, ignoring the coasts, and just went on a diagonal line and had a president that was actually a goat figurine, you would probably think I was crazy. But if you were a parliamentarian, you would declare a state of emergency. Well, of course, I'm referring to an individual in Canada named Jeremy MacKenzie, the founder of a fictional, fun joke of a country, Diagalon, which infamously became the reason for the Emergencies Act, is under hot water now in Saskatchewan this morning. Reporting is Real Andy Lee show here on Twitter saying the Saskatchewan RCMP have issued a province-wide arrest warrant for Diagalon founder Jeremy MacKenzie. Crown prosecutors are reviewing the case and will decide if the warrant will be extended to other provinces. This from CBC News, of course, the most fair and balanced you'll see in the country. Saskatchewan RCMP issue warrant for a Nova Scotia man facing multiple gun charges. Jeremy MacKenzie, leader of an alleged... They do this. White supremacist group already faces 13 gun charges in Nova Scotia. Now, why don't we get into a little bit of the history, and then we'll get back to the article of who Jeremy MacKenzie is. He is a comedian on the internet, and he's also an activist. He's a veteran from Canada who served in Afghanistan. He was recently on Viva Frei's podcast to explain his story, but this little video actually sums it up best, and I think you'll get the point here if you don't know who this guy is already.
I got a story for you. It's a true story.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act.
Diagalon.
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 Diagalon. Diagalon. A far-right extremist group.
We're talking about a group that is organized, driven by an extreme ideology.
A so-called accelerationist group.
Formed by a former member of the Canadian Armed Forces.
Which aims to accelerate racial conflict to lead to the eventual creation of a white ethno-state.
Its stated purpose is, quote, to incite a race war.
Oh my God. Dude. It's over. It's fucking done. Members of Parliament are talking about a meme. A meme to justify a state of emergency.
They're super country. Dude, did we predict this on one of the old fucking streams? Remember it's diagonal country all the way to Alaska? Dude, you know, here it is. All the way from Florida, all the way up. Super diagonal country.
The Justin Trudeau regime declared war on a pretend country that doesn't exist.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act.
How much vitriol do we have to see of honk honk, which is an acronym for Hail Hitler?
You need people like me. So you can point and say, that's a bad guy. That's okay. I've been a bad guy for you.
I made this on my phone as a pretend flag for a pretend country that doesn't exist. Its vice president is a goat figurine named Philip who has an extremely hard time with narcotics.
Diagalon was found.
So I'm going to leave this in the description down below so you can share this out to people who don't already understand what Diagalon is. Now, the memes are being shared around, but global news, of course, Rachel Gilmore, Happy Gilmore here, getting on the case, of course, because, you know, sensationalism sells. Experts say ideologically motivated comedic extremism is on the rise. Here's what you need to know. And of course, yeah, that's Jeremy MacKenzie. Now, it's ridiculous. What happened recently was that Rachel Gilmore put Jeremy MacKenzie back in the news again because he made another provocative move. And he's a comedian. This is what he does. He throws it out there and he tries the real fun thing about what he does is instead of like me, I report on just how horrible the news is. He actually is able to sensationalize or get them to sensationalize what he's doing. And, well, he did that here in this case. And he went and he took a photograph with Pierre Poilievre at one of his campaign meet and greets. I mean, Pierre's seeing thousands and thousands of people. So he just runs in there and he just shakes his hand, gets a photo taken with him. Says, sometimes you just got to tell him what's up. I'm sure Pierre doesn't even remember this. Anyway, so Rachel Gilmore takes to Twitter to say Jeremy MacKenzie, founder of Diagalon, posted a picture of him, picture to his Telegram of him shaking hands with Pierre Poilievre. It's unclear when the photo is from, but it looks like it's from one of Pierre Poilievre's campaign meet and greets. Of course it was. Of course it was. But of course, exactly as predicted, the media jumped all over it and even got the ire of and the attention of Jean Charest, one of the candidates, as well as, all of the media. But this I found was the funniest one. And Rachel Gilmore obviously sharing this out. Jean Charest is calling on Pierre Poilievre to directly denounce Jeremy MacKenzie. It's been 72 hours since Pierre Poilievre learned that he shook hands with a violent extremist designated by Canada's Integrated Terrorist Assessment Center, which is a bunch of malarkey. It's they went based on CBC reports on this guy, and then they made their publication. It's they just grab on fake news and then they report it as a real report. We saw how this works during the Freedom Convoy. His refusal to denounce is this individual is deeply concerning, of course. Hate is intolerance has no place in Canada, in the Conservative Party. Share if you agree with that. It's long past time for Pierre Poilievre. And I mean, I don't care. This is politics being politics, but I thought it was funny, so I just popped it in there. Jean Charest believes in guilt by association. Jean Charest hangs out with crooks and embezzlers. Jean Charest also works for the CCP company, Huawei, the Chinese Communist Party company, the Huawei. Good talk. Anyway, he was on Viva Frei's podcast and shared his whole story, and I'll leave a link in the description for Viva Frei's podcast. It was really good, where Jeremy got to explain his whole story. I've been meaning to have Jeremy on the channel. We've been trying to communicate back and forth to get him to come on here and share his story with the audience here. But he tends to stream around the same time that I do. So we'll work it out in scheduling, but we'll definitely get him on here at some point. But here's a little excerpt from this in association to one of the photographs that they've been running with on the news media, where they posed in an ominous way in order to bait them to use this photograph. And they fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Here we go.
Okay. That's me on the bottom left there. So it's like, put these masks on, guys. And then I did redacted over this. And the media took it and was like, why? People published it and were accusing CTV of protecting our identities. And it's like, tell them, CTV, that you took it. Tell them that you took it from my Instagram page. And the caption was something like, I guess we're a militia now, or something like this. This was intentionally to gaslight them. And we were making fun of them. And then they took this as evidence that we are what they say they are. So I was like, people are kind of getting worried at this point. And I was like, there's nothing to find. No one's doing anything illegal anyway. So when if they do, or if they are stupid enough to send the police, which they have, and it's ongoing, they're going to spend millions of dollars looking for nothing. And who's going to be the asshole then?
Look at
obviously. And I'll leave a link in the description down below for that. But here's a photo, and they're even using this for this story now. Saskatchewan RCMP has laid new charges against Diagalon leader Jeremy MacKenzie. Diagalon leader. It's a meme. It's a joke. It is it's a podcast where he makes jokes. Anyway, the nature of the charge has not been confirmed. It's linked to a Diagalon shooting party on a farm near Viscount, Saskatchewan in November 2021, sources say. Now, a Diagalon shooting party, you mean like a bunch of guys getting together and shooting their guns at a range? That I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens as the details come in. But this story is basically just sharing that the charges have been put out there while trying to make him sound scarier and scarier. According to Saskatchewan RCMP, the charges stem from an incident last November in the rural municipality of Viscount. No further details were provided, aside from a note that the RCMP did not get a report about the incident until March of this year. So they had it since March, and they're just laying the warrant now. RCMP also confirmed that a province-wide arrest warrant has been issued for MacKenzie, though the Mounties said there's no evidence that he is in Saskatchewan. Crown prosecutors are reviewing the case and will decide if the warrant will be extended to other provinces. Guessing not. I'm guessing not. Now, firearms restrictions in Canada, people don't understand. And how the firearms laws work. When people say have a firearms charge against them, take this into consideration. I had a friend years ago who was a ski bum, who was also a hunter, but he lived in a dorm-esque house. And inside the dorm house, I mean, it's kind of free range. Everybody just comes in, comes and goes. You have your room. Now, the police showed up one day for a noise complaint and just walked into the house. And then subsequently just walked into his room. He was playing video games while he was waiting for the solvent to dry while cleaning his firearm after going out and sighting it in. Now, the police charged him with a violation for in the Firearms Act and confiscated his firearm. They confiscated his firearm and they held it for over a year with pending charges, and he had a firearms prohibition for that time. Now, he was a ski bum and couldn't afford a lawyer, so he just waited it out until the firearms prohibition was gone. He missed an entire hunting season because of this. Now, this is how firearms violations work in Canada. So when I hear someone has 13 gun-related charges, it could be an ominous thing, or it could be just that they had a warrant to search his house and they found guns in plain sight, determined that they should have been locked up and put violations on their related charges. So you can never tell if a firearms charge is an ominous one because they were doing something nefarious or because they just stepped out of the bounds of the regulation. Now, I'd argue that my friend would have been off on that one if he would have paid for a lawyer, but he just waited it out. Nonetheless, this is where we're at. Jeremy MacKenzie, again, now in hot water in Saskatchewan, not just his home province. Anyway, just wanted to put that one out there for you guys. Hopefully we can get Jeremy on the show at some point. We can get some scheduling things worked out and get him in here. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think on this story, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.